Here's a great movement exploration to help reconnect to your deeper core layers of the torso. So we have the superficial layers, the six-pack abdominals, etc. And we also want to be able to connect with our breath to the movement of the deeper core layers, which will help support and stabilize our spine, our posture. So one of the best ways to work with this initially is to do this on hands and knees in breathing. So I'm just going to come to all fours, and I have the balls of my feet resting on the wall here. You don't have to have your heels on the wall. I have my hips pretty much over my knees here, knees and feet about hip distance apart, and my hands under my shoulders. Now, one of the initial things we want to consider here is if we are coming into an extended spine where we've got kind of an excessive low back curve and the lower ribs are actually just melting down towards the floor here. If that's the case, that limits the diaphragm motion, and it also limits the ability to really access those deeper core muscles that we're looking at right now. So one thing I want to start with here, of course, is just to feel the ground, find your breath. Always begin with a little bit of attention, present moment awareness, and feeling sense of the ground beneath you. Then what I'm going to do from there is activate through the balls of my feet, pressing down, or into the wall and dragging the balls of my feet up the wall isometrically. Isometrically just means that they're not moving even though they're activated. So when I do that, I feel my hamstrings start to engage a little bit. What this is going to help me do is make sure that my pelvis is a little bit more neutral rather than being tilted excessively forward. So as I drag the balls of the feet up the wall, I just want to keep the knees reaching down into the ground slightly. This is going to help stabilize the pelvis. Then the second part from here, without locking the elbows, just press a little bit down into the ground so that the space between your shoulder blades fills out slightly. We don't want to be excessively rounded here, but just kind of a nice balanced place between the shoulder blades. So there's a lot to think about here. I'm dragging my balls of my feet up the wall, my hamstrings are engaged, and I'm pressing into the ground a little bit to help fill out the space between my shoulder blades. I don't want to lock the elbows, creating any excess tension there. I'm going to maintain all of these little actions here as I start to breathe now, in through the nose, and a nice exhale out through the mouth. And you can even imagine you're blowing out a straw or out through a straw or blowing on a hot cup of coffee. And what we want to do there is when we exhale, we want to think about from the bottom of the torso coming up. So we inhale and fill the rib cage with breath, and then as you exhale, think about from the bottom, from the floor of the pelvis, the lower belly, drawing slightly in and up, using your exhale to have that happen. All right, so as I come back into position, dragging the balls of the feet up the wall, pressing into the ground slightly so my shoulder blades stay a little wide, relaxing into my breath here. I'll inhale through the nose, and then exhale out through my mouth as I'm blowing out through a straw, visualizing from the bottom up. So the lower belly, exhale, middle, and then upper torso. As you do this breath, we'll breathe about 5 cycles of breath in and out here, and then take a little break. You might have to circle your wrists or just do a little bit of less weight on the wrists for a moment. And then I'd like you to come back to the position and do that one more time for 5 to 7 breaths. So twice doing this 5 to 7 breaths. This is a wonderful way to restore that connection to the deeper core layers and help you to feel more strong, more strength, more integration, and to actually feel improvement in the way that you're breathing. All right, so have fun with that one.